Right, welcome back to the final session of Auditing Flow discussion, that is Audit Reporting. Again, another important area. So, it is an area where you can definitely score if the fundamentals are understood properly. So, definitely in your examination it will be around minimum 10 marks, 5 questions at least, 3 to 4, at least 3 to 4 questions will come from this particular section. This is not that difficult like risk assessment, audit planning, and then like audit procedures, test of control, substantive procedures, what we discussed during the last 7 webinars. So let's have a look on that. Right. So we have been discussing the auditing flow. Let me to explain again in a brief way. So how the reporting is coming in the auditing flow discussion. Right. Our basic diagram, so which I have been drawing with you for last 7 webinars. So basically the management is here, the shareholders are here, practicing chartered accountant is here. Right. The management is preparing the finance statement and giving to the shareholders, but shareholders do not trust the management under the stay-out concept, agent concept. So therefore shareholders are going and appointing a third party person called chartered accountant, practicing chartered accountant, to come and check the finance statement which is prepared by the management. Right. And give a report. And give a report on the finance statement prepared by the management, that is the auditor's role. How that is to be done is given in Sri Lanka auditing standards starting 200 to 810, 37 auditing standard which we talk about the auditing flow. Otherwise, before giving an opinion to the shareholders by the practicing auditor, what he should do is disclosed, is discussed or is given in this Sri Lanka auditing standards. In this auditing flow discussion, I am not going to draw. If you can remember in the previous webinars, I draw you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 and what are the key areas, so you can go and watch the previous webinars. But in briefly I will tell you, by giving this report, coming to give an audit report like that, auditor has to do certain things in auditing flow. Number 1, agree in terms. Right. Number 2, audit planning. And number 3, audit procedures. And number 4, audit finalization. Right. And number 5, audit report. Right. So basically the agreed terms we discussed, these what are the concept, these two parties should be agreed. Scope, objectives, responsibilities, which we discussed on the webinar number 2, and then audit planning is the core of auditing. So before auditor comes and check this finance statement, so he has to decide what is going to be checked, because 100% checking is not possible. So where basically it involves understanding the business, risk assessment, designing the risk response, all these complex areas are addressed there. Then you are going to, third step, you are going to do the work, audit procedures, which we discuss in detail. So to gather the sufficient and appropriate audit evidences. Then last webinar we discussed the audit finalization. So before giving an opinion, the auditor has to evaluate the evidences gathered by him, whether there are sufficient and appropriate audit evidences to give a conclusion, or whether there are material misstatement in the finance statement, or whether there are no material misstatement in the finance statements. In order to ascertain that, the auditor has to finalize the audit. I explained you at the previous webinar. Then the last step is we are coming to the audit report. So in this, the 5 steps, most critical steps is audit reporting, audit planning, So this, if you go wrong here, all other steps you will go wrong. So therefore, before coming to the audit report, you need to have a thorough understanding of this auditing flow. So I request you, so this is we discussed webinar number 2, this we discussed webinar number 3 if I am not mistaken. Then audit procedures we discussed webinar number 4 and 5, and audit finalization we discussed webinar number 6 and 7, and audit report will be webinar number 8 and 9. That is, we are going to discuss today, right? So audit report is not that difficult like audit planning, audit procedures, audit finalization. Straightforward. If you know the theory, definitely you can answer. If you don't know the theory, you can't answer any of the questions, right? So basically, now before moving into the today's discussion, under the audit report, I will be discussing 2 areas, right? One is format of the audit report. I will be discussing the part A of the video, format of the audit report. The second one, modification to the audit report. This will be the part A, this will be the part B. Right? Mostly in your examination questions are from modification part of the audit report, where you need to have a thorough understanding on that particular section. Right? So now look at here. The auditor, after evaluating all the sufficient and appropriate audit evidences what he gathered, he is going to give an report to the shareholders end of the day. The report එකක් කිව්වහම අපේ අයට එක එක විදියට හිතෙන්න පුළුවන්. පිටු කීයක report එකක්ද? කොච්චර විතර ලොකු report එකක්ද? හිතෙන්න පුළුවන් ගොඩක් දේවල්. Remember this. The audit report mean it is a standard format. Whether it is issued by PwC, KPMG, Creston, EY, BDO, Jasing and Company or any other audit firm in Sri Lanka. It's a standard format. What the format should be used, it's given in the auditing standard number 700, SLA US 700. So therefore, now let's say I'm a partner of audit firm, I can't issue the audit report as I want. There is a format given by the auditing standard which is issued by the CA Sri Lanka, right? That format only we are going to discuss today, right? So before discussing the format, I just brought to show you one hard copy, right? Now, I will tell you in a practical scenario, then you will understand. I assume that you don't know anything in auditing, so that on that basis I am explaining. This management is presenting to the shareholders the finance statement. The preparation of finance statement is not the responsibility of the auditor. The auditor is giving only the audit report on the finance statement prepared by the management. In that circumstances, what happened? So this type of booklet, it is called annual report. This type of booklet is called annual report. So this annual report means this is the booklet the management is giving to the shareholders to show in the financial result and other correspondences that need to be communicated to the shareholder. This is called annual report. Each and every PLC or a public limited liability companies, this annual report is available in, right? You can go to this website www.colombostockexchange.lk, right? colombostockexchange.lk. So go to that particular website. In that website, you can find out the listed companies list. Select any of the company you like, right, and go to their financials, and when you go to their financials, the annual report of each and every company will be available. Please do this one. Go to the Colombo Stock Exchange, right, website, and the list of the companies are available in the website. You can select any company which you like. There are lot of companies, I think more than 200 plus companies are there. Select any of the company, and in that, when you select the company, there are so many informations are given with respect of that company. So select the select the financials and get the annual report. This is called annual report. So this can be now sometimes this is given to shareholders. I brought a printed copy, but you don't have to look at a printed copy. You can look at the soft copy. I will show you today another example also. So this is the booklet. The management is going to give it to the shareholder. So what is there in this booklet? So basically in this booklet, if you look at here, so in this booklet there are so much of information. Starting with this is one of the example, right? This is starting with lot of financial highlights, then about the director board, details of director board, and then corporate governance report, sustainability report, and board of directors report, social relationship capital report, and internal control report. Likewise, there are so many reports at the beginning, right? When it comes to mid, there are so much of information given at the beginning, right, to read to the shareholders, or which are important to the shareholders. And after that, what happened? In between of the report, start in the finance statement. I'll show you here. It's this particular annual report. You see, statement of financial position, statement of comprehensive income, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in equity, notes and all that is finance statements are started. And the finance statements are given the latter part of this annual report. Look at that annual report, you can download and see. Before these finance statements are incorporated in this particular booklet, there is a 3 pages in this particular booklet is concerned. There's a 3 pages. That 3 pages is the auditor's report. It may be 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, depending on the circumstances, nature of the business, and the issues that the auditor has encountered. But what I'm trying to say here, this annual report belongs to whom? This annual report belongs to the management, it is given to the shareholders to read. Okay, in this annual report, auditor comes and check what? The entire annual report? No. We are checking this finance statements which are included in this annual report. That's it. Finance statement mean statement of financial position, statement of comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow, and the other notes. We check that finance statement which are included in this annual report, and giving an audit report, it may be 3 to 4 pages on that finance statement. That audit report also incorporated in this annual report, which are represented to the shareholders. So therefore remember, the auditor's report, auditor's report is basically included in the annual report, which are presented to the shareholders to be approved at the annual general meeting at the every year, right? I hope that you are clear how the audit report will come on practical circumstances. Otherwise you will be thinking, so where the auditor is giving audit report, when the auditor is giving the audit report, where it is included, whether I can see a sample. You can see more than 200 samples in the csc.lk website, columbusstockexchange.lk. Go to select any particular company, maybe John Keels, maybe Softlogic or Hemo, whatever the company you want, you select the company and download the annual report. Audit report will be in the middle of this booklet, before the finance statements are started, right? Just take and go through one example. I am going to show you an example as well, right? So now today's part A discussion, basically part A of the video discussion is this particular audit report format we have to learn. Not to memorize the format, but you have to remember the format of you have to remember the key items of the audit report format. So I am going to tell you in a very systematic way. So end of the day, once you watch this video, there are 13 elements of the audit report. You should be able to remember and tell with me at the end of this video, right? So have a look on that. So, right, before coming to the audit report part, I will just show you how that is coming in our syllabus. Right. So basically now we are in the process of discussing fundamentals of audit assurance 40% marks, and out of that we are in the discussion of chapter number 15, audit finalization and reporting, which I explained in the previous webinar as well. And this chapter 15 basically contains two part of the auditing flow discussion, that is subsequent event, going concern, written representation, overall review of the finance statements, and the last one is auditor's report. So as I explained you that day, so the part A is belongs to audit finalization, which we have already covered, and now today's discussion is basically coming into the auditor's report. So in this particular auditor's report discussion, there are two parts of auditor's report discussion, that is audit report format as well as the modification to the audit report, one of the important area. So if you look at the type of question that would come in your examination is pilot paper question number 39. The Hero PLC has been in the business of manufacturing and selling air conditioners. The statement of financial position as at 31st March 2019 shows an inventory balance of rupees 400 million. In April and May 2019, all air conditioners held as at 31st March 2019 were sold for rupees 320 million. Hero PLC's profit before tax for the year ended 31st March 2019 was rupees 300 million. Which type of audit report opinion would be most appropriate for Hero PLC? Assuming the directors refuse to make any adjustment in respect of the above, you can see this is from the part B of our discussion. It is once you learn the theory, so this is going to be a simple question. If you look at the second question, I have extracted from the revision kit. Which of the following is not a necessary component of a standard auditor's report for a limited company? A title identifying to whom the report is addressed, identification of the finance statements audited, confirmation of the accounting convention used in preparing the finance statement, confirmation of the director's responsibility in connection with the preparation of the financial statement. So this also we will answer at the end of the second part of the video. Right. So now this is the background which I explained you. This is the background of the syllabus and how that is coming into examination. So in this part A video, I am going to discuss the format of the audit report. So before moving to the format of the audit report, I will show you a practical example. Right. Right. This is one of the annual report which I have downloaded from the Colombo Stock Exchange. So this is I selected one I selected one. So you can select any company, right? Maybe John Keel's. I selected this is a small company because easy for me to explain you the theory. So there are bigger companies, very big companies in the market, PLCs, Unilever, and anything if you like, you can select from the Colombo Stock Exchange and download the annual report. This type of booklet will be there, right? So this is belongs to Renuka Group. So this, if you look at here, this is Renuka Capital PLC annual report 2020. I am not interested about the facts of the report, but what I am going to tell you what you should learn from this, right? You see, if you look at this content of this booklet, you will understand what are the informations in this booklet. Number one, see who we are, cultures and values, vision, company highlights, chairman's review, directors profiles, management discussion and analysis, report of the board of directors, report on the corporate governance, report on the sustainability of the company, report on the risk management, report on the audit committee, report of the related party transaction review committee, report of the remuneration committee, report of the nomination committee. There are a lot of corporate governance coming into the place. Statement of directors responsibility. Now it's coming, you see. Independent auditors report. This is what we are interested. Independent auditors report, only 3 pages, 43 to 46. You see, at the beginning we have given a lot of information the management has given a lot of information which are relevant to the company, but those are nothing to be worried about by the auditors or auditors. So this auditor's report is coming in this booklet only for 3 pages, but you see that is before the statement of financial position and all that is. That means auditor's report is coming before the accounts. Why? The auditors are giving the auditor's report on the finance statement, not the entire annual report that is prepared by the management, on the finance statement prepared by the management. So therefore you can see thereafter statement of financial position is coming in, and then statement of income, changes in equity, cash flow, notes and all that is there, right? So I will straightforwardly go to the audit report to show you. So these are the information which you can just have a look. You can download from the Colombo Stock Exchange and have a look. I am not interested in explaining those things. I will go to the audit report. This is the very good way for you to think in a practical way. So you see, this is the independent auditor's report issued by Creston Sri Lanka. So this independent auditor's report, right, I just want to show you. So look at here, the independent auditor's report has been a practical example, 3 pages or 4 pages maximum. You see the firm letterhead and all the details are there. Then it is addressed to the shareholders of Renuka Capital PLC, and report on the audit of the finance statements, and this opinion is given, and the opinion is given. You see, one heading is opinion, and then it's called, another thing is they are called key audit matters. Sorry, one second. So I'll explain you in with the PowerPoint presentation in a proper way. So this is right, okay. So opinion is there and the key audit matters are there, and then basis for opinion is there in the first page, and then next second page, you see the second page, there is a table given, some issues have been addressed by the auditor. You see something called key audit matter, how the audit was addressed during the key audit matter, addressed during the audit, which I explained you at the discussion, which I will explain. And then we'll go to the next page, third page. There are something called other information, and auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the finance statement. So there is another area, responsibilities of management and those charged with governance කියලා තව එකක් තියෙනවා. හරි. ඊට පස්සේ තියෙනවා report on other regulatory requirements. That is another thing. You see, and then the last one, the CA Sri Lanka membership number is given for the chartered accountant who signed the finance statement, and the signature is there, and then the date is there. So with that, audit report is over. You see, I just show you, and I can't show here in the proper manner. So I show you a three pages audit report for you to, in a practical audit report for you to just to see. You can download any of the audit report is given in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Just have a look before we discuss on the theoretical angle. Now today's our discussion objective is, now this if you want we'll go to the next page as well. So next page is basically into financial statement of the company. You see, this is a statement of financial position, that means balance sheet of the company. So before the balance sheet only this audit report is coming, right? So now my objective is to discuss the format of this report. Remember, there are 13 sub elements of this report which you have to remember. කටපාඩම් කරන්න නෙමෙයි, දැන් මේක මගෙත් එක්ක දැන් මේක කරලා ඉවරනකොට මේක මතක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Right, I am going to explain you one by one. Right. So if you see, I am going to the presentation now. This is the practical example. I will come back later. So now I am going to presentation. Right. So I'm going to discuss now specimen audit report for a PLC. This is for a PLC. I'm going to explain. I will tell you later why I told the word called PLC. Because this report format is applicable for a PLC only. If it is a private limited company, the report format is getting slightly changed. That I will tell you at the end of the video. So for the moment we will learn this is the audit report format, specimen audit report format. You see, any audit report, number one should be like this. What is that? Number one, independence auditor's report. We call title of the report. If you see, you can see any practical report as well. The number one element of an audit report is to have a heading. අපි ඔඩිට් රිපෝට් එකේ උඩින්ම තියෙන්න ඕනේ හෙඩින් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ හෙඩින් එක කාටවත් වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. ඒ හෙඩින් එක තමයි ඉන්ඩිපෙන්ඩන්ට් ඔඩිටර්ස් රිපෝට් ස්වාධීන විගණකවරයාගේ වාර්තාව. ඒක වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. ඒක වැදගත් මේ කාරණයක්. මොකද හේතුව ෂෙයාර්හෝල්ඩර්ස්ලා කියවනකොට එහෙම නැත්නම් ස්ටේක් හෝල්ඩර් කෙනෙක් මේ රිපෝට් එක කියවනකොට එයාට තේරෙන්න ඕනේ මේක ඉන්ඩිපෙන්ඩන්ට් මේක ස්වාධීන පුද්ගලයෙක් විසින් දුන්න වාර්තාවක් කියලා. In order to communicate that fact, heading should be independent auditor's report. The number one we call in audit report format, that is title. That is a mandatory thing that has to be there. So I'm coming to the second thing, right? Number one should be title, right? That is the report number one element. දැන් පාඩම් කරගන්න. එක මොකද්ද? එක title. Title කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Independent Auditors Report කියන එක. Number 2, to the shareholders of ABC PLC, to whom we are going to address. To whom we are going to address? To the shareholders of ABC PLC. To address to whom we are going to address. Right? So remember, right? Remember, generally auditors address their report to the shareholders. Because why? The shareholders is the one who are interested in knowing the financial result. So therefore, generally we address to the shareholders unless auditor is appointed by someone else. Generally, auditors are appointed by the shareholders. So mostly the fundamental theory says auditor should address the report for whom the auditor was appointed, but generally you can remember that is for shareholders. Now number second element of audit report, number one is first one is what? Title. Second one is addressee, to whom we are going to address. Third one, you see the opinion paragraph. The first of all auditor is giving the report, giving his opinion. This is what most critical in audit report. So third one you can remember, the opinion paragraph. Basically this opinion paragraph has you can make a small note also. You can take a small note in what I am telling now. Then or you can see the study text. There is a separate table is given on these elements. Third one is opinion paragraph. Opinion paragraph mean auditor's conclusion. අපි විගණනය කරලා අපි දෙන අවසාන මතය තමයි ඉස්සරලාම අපි දෙන්නේ. අනිත් තොරතුරු කියන්න කලින් අපි අපේ කන්ක්ලූෂන් එක දෙනවා. ඒ කන්ක්ලූෂන් එක ඇතුලේ කාරණා දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි අපි මොකද්ද ඔඩිට් කරේ කියන එකයි අපේ අවසාන නිගමනය කියන්නේ එක මොකද්ද. What we audited and what is our conclusion. Both there are two paragraphs under the opinion paragraph. The first one, what we audited. මොකක්ද අපි audit කරේ, and what is our conclusion. Number 2, we'll see that first paragraph. හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න, මේවා කටපාඩම් කරන්නේ නැහැ. මේවා කටපාඩම් කිරීමේ කිසිම අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ විභාගෙට. මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ? මේ item 13 මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. item 13ක් තියෙනවා. ඒ 13 ප්‍රධාන කාරණා each and every point එකෙන් කියවෙන්නේ මොකද්ද කියන එකට rough idea එකක් ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න ඕනේ. So that this short note you can put if you want. Number 1, title mean heading, independent auditor's report, and number 2, addressee, to whom the audit report is going to be addressed, generally shareholder. Number 3, opinion paragraph. There are two things. Number 1, what we audited and what is our conclusion. We have audited the finance statement of ABC PLC which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st March 2020 and the income statement, statement of comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity and cash flow statement for the year ended, and note to the finance statement including summary of significant accounting policies exhibited on pages such and such. That is a press paragraph, what we audited. The second one is most critical and important. In our opinion, the company finance statements of the company give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st March 2020 and of their financial performance and cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with Sri Lanka accounting standard. Under the third paragraph or under the third section of the audit report is opinion paragraph. Basically there are two things, what we audited and what is our conclusion. Conclusion means what? The auditor is, if there are no problems, if there are no material problems, auditor conclude that the finance statements are free from material misstatement. Auditor කියන්න පුළුවන් finance statements are free from material misstatement කියලා කියන්නත් පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේකේ දීලා තියෙන විදිහට මේ මෙතන විදිහට true and fair view කියලා කියන්නත් පුළුවන්. මේක similar definition එකක්. මේක බලන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාලගේ chapter 10 එකේ මේක තියෙනවා. Company give a true and fair view. True and fair සත්‍ය හා සාධාරණ. True and fair කියලා කිව්වත් එකයි. Free from material misstatement කියලා කිව්වත් එකයි. දෙකම පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් auditors ලට. Right? Again I am reading, this is important. In our opinion, the accompanying finance statement of the company give a true and fair, or the company's finance statements are free from material misstatements. You can say like that, of the financial position of the company as at 31st March 2020. Financial position කියලා කියන්නේ balance sheet එක. And of their financial performance and cash flows. Financial performance කියලා කියන්නේ P&L එක. And cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with the Sri Lanka accounting standard. We don't say free from material misstatement on everything. We say free from material misstatement in respect of Sri Lanka accounting standards. Right? So this is number 1, 2 and 3. The මේක S2 වහගෙන කියන්න ඕන. මොකද්ද පළවෙනි එක තියන්නේ title එක, දෙවෙනි එක address, third one opinion paragraph. Right? These three should be there. Then we are coming to the fourth element of the audit report, that is basis for opinion paragraph. Now, number fourth one we say basis for opinion. Opinion is number 3 and number 4 basis for opinion. So basis for opinion, basically what we are trying to say, now we have already given, if you look at the number 3, we have already given the opinion. Now after giving the opinion, only we are going to say what is the basis for opinion. That means on what we have given our conclusion. මේක ඔයාලට හිතලා වුණත් කියන්න බලන්න. දැන් auditing flow එක දන්නවා ඔයාලා. අපිට audit report එකේ conclusion එක දුන්නා නම් මේක මොකක් මතද අපි දීලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා කියන්නේ වෙන්නේ මොකක් මතද අපි කියලා දීලා තියෙන්නේ. අපි මේ audit එක කරලා තියෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකා auditing standard වලට අනුව ඒකෙන් රැස් කරගත්ත sufficient appropriate audit evidence base කරලා තමයි මේ report එක දුන්නේ කියන එක තමයි කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒකනේ කියන්න ඕනේ. Right, we'll read that. Don't try to memorize. කටපාඩම් කරන්න එපා මේක section එකක්වත්. මේක ඇතුලේ තියෙන හරය මතක තියාගන්න. ඒ ඇරෙන්න මේ කටපාඩම් කරන්න යන්න එපා. විභාගෙට මේ paragraph ලියන්න අහන්නේ නැහැ. ඕ paragraph එකක select කරන්න එහෙම අහන්න තීරුමක් නැහැ එහෙම අහන එකේ. අහුවොත් අහන්න ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මේ paragraph එක content එක කියන්නේ. Content mean it's the overall meaning of the paragraph, if you can remember, is more than enough. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standards. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the finance statement section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the ethical requirement of the Code of Ethics issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka that are relevant to our audit of the finance statement, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the Code of Ethics. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide basis for our opinion. What's going to say? In this paragraph, basically you can find out, number one, we are going to say we conducted audit in accordance with the auditing standards. And number two, we can say that basically we are compliant with the we are compliant with the code of ethics issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. And number three, we can say audit evidence is sufficient, appropriate. In summary, in this paragraph, there are three things you can note down. And number one, we say we conducted our audit in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard, and also we are compliant with the code of ethics issued by CA Sri Lanka. And number three, the audit evidences are sufficient and appropriate to give an opinion, right? So that is fourth paragraph, the basis for opinion. And the next one, number 5, right, key audit matters. Now we have to look at the board. Key audit matters. Please look at here. So up to now, we have been discussing the elements of an audit report. Title we discuss, addressee we discuss, opinion we discuss, right? And basis for opinion we discussed. And we are discussing the key audit matter, which is, I will take 2 to 3 minutes time. Most of the students as well as most of the other CA students who learn this auditing 1 year before, that means before 2018-19, if you have learned this auditing report or audit report or the auditing subject, you don't know this one. The key audit matters. What is this key audit matters? In BL5, we don't go for an in-detail discussion of key audit matters, but in CL1, it's heavily discussed. But I will tell you in a summary for you to remember what is this key audit matters. Listen me carefully, right? So, in our basic diagram, look at here, we know management is there, shareholder is there, and auditor is there. Auditor come and check the finance statements. When auditor comes and check the finance statements and giving a report to the shareholders after performing the audit in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard, that is our fundamental objective, right? When you are giving this report, what you basically say, these finance statements prepared by the management free from material misstatement. Look at here. When auditor is giving to the audit report to the shareholders, if there are no material misstatement that you identified through the audit procedures, auditor is going to give an opinion stating that the finance statement prepared by the management are free from material misstatement. කළමනාකරණය විසින් පෙරළ කරන ලද මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන කට්ටලය ප්‍රමාණාත්මක සාවද්‍ය ප්‍රකාශනයන්ගෙන් තොරයි කියලා මතයක් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. That is the overall objective of the auditor. This was the practice for so many years in the world, including Sri Lanka up to 2018-19 or 17-18. When this auditing profession is developing and when the accounting profession is developing, and also when the stakeholder requirements, the shareholders are expecting more, the shareholders' thinking patterns have changed, they need more information from the auditor. So then, the developers of the Sri Lanka International Standard on Auditing or International Financial Reporting Standard Committees, which is attached to the IFAC, they thought, look here, now we are generally telling to the shareholder, the finance statements are prepared by the management are free from material misstatement. But the shareholders may be interested to know that what was the significant issues during the audit. What was the significant matters during the audit? Even though you have concluded, even though you have gathered the sufficient appropriate audit evidences, what were the significant matters during the audit? Right? But those matters are not leading to a material misstatement. Understand? ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ඔඩිට් එක කරගෙන යනකොට මේ ඔඩිට් එක මේක මේ හරි ක්ලියර් හැමදේම 100%ක් හොඳට තිබ්බ අවස්ථාවක් වෙන්න බෑනේ. අපි ඔඩිට් එක ප්ලෑන් කරද්දී අපිට ගොඩාක් ප්‍රශ්න ඇති වෙන්නේ නැති. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න අපි ඔඩිට් ප්‍රොසීඩියර්ස් කරලා ඒකට sufficient appropriate audit evidences gather කරලා අපි conclude කරන්න ඇති. හැබැයි එහෙම කරා වුණත් අපි දෙන්නේ එකම report එක. So therefore the auditing regulations were changed to incorporate another item called key audit matters to the audit report. What it is that? The key audit matters mean not the material misstatement. Key audit matter is not a misstatement. The key audit matter mean what auditor encountered as significant issues during the audit which could not lead to a material misstatement. මොකක්ද ඒ කියන්නේ? අපි ඔඩිට් එක කරගෙන යනකොට අපිට හම්බෙච්ච වඩා වැදගත් ප්‍රශ්න නැත්තම් සැක සහිත ඒවා මෙහෙම කියවට ඒ වර්ඩින් එක අපිට ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් ගන්න බෑ මේ සැක සහිත ප්‍රදේශ කියලා කියන්නේ ෆයිනාන්ස් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් වල තියෙන ඒරියාස් හැබැයි අපි ඒව චෙක් කරලා sufficient appropriate audit evidences gather කරාට පස්සේ අපේ conclusion එක මොකද්ද? material misstatement නෑ area එක. හැබැයි ඒක වැදගත් area එක. Now when auditor conducts the audit of the finance statement, auditor identifies certain risk areas. Auditor identifies certain judgmental areas. Auditor identifies certain significant events. But auditor has performed adequate audit procedures and gathered sufficient appropriate audit evidences. And accordingly, auditor does not give an modified audit report. Auditor gives a conclusion that the finance statement free from material misstatement, but there were this type of issues in the finance statement which we have performed audit procedures like this. We concluded that there are no material misstatement. අපි ගමුකෝ ජොන් කීල්ස් එක ඔඩිට් අපි කියමුකෝ EY එක කියලා. EY එක ඔඩිට් ජොන් කීල්ස් එක ඔඩිට් එක ප්ලෑන් කරනකොට මෙම ලොකු සමහර ගැටලු සහිත ඒරියාස් ටිකක් අපිට හම්බුණා. අපි ඒකට මෙන්න මේ ඔඩිට් ප්‍රොසීඩියර්ස් ටික කරා. මේක කරාට පස්සේ අපි මේකට සැටිස්ෆයි වුණා කියලා. Auditor is going to tell to the shareholder under the different heading that is called key audit matter. Key audit matters. What was the key matters during the audit? But remember, the key audit matters is not a issue in the audit report. It is a positive assurance that the auditor is telling there was an issue like this. We did the audit procedures like this. Right? So, now next question will come to you. There are so much of issues. During the audit. The risk assessment, when you identify the risk, there are so many. So what to report to the shareholder as a key audit matter? That is purely auditor's judgment. Now if I am the audit partner of the audit firm, I will decide what to be reported. I can decide whether not to report also. In my judgment, it is not the standard doesn't give a guideline. That is auditor's judgment what to report. Let's say there are 10 issues in the company. Out of that 10, all 10 we have checked and all 10 we are satisfied. But sometimes I may report to the shareholder only one issue, 2, 3, 4, 5 or entire 10. That depends on my judgment. Right? I hope that you are clear the key audit matters. In your examination, this will not be tested in detail, but just to have a rough understanding in a practical circumstances, what is key audit matter. Okay, so in this key audit matters, basically key audit matters are arising on 3 scenarios. These key audit matters are arising with 3 scenarios. One is we call significant risk. When you are conducting the audit of finance statement, you plan the audit and you identify the risk. From that risk, you identify the significant risk. Out of that significant risk, one or two can be the key audit matter that will be decided by the auditor. And then significant management judgment. These are too much for you all. Significant management judgment. In your study text, we are not discussing in detail this key audit matter, but I explain you for you to have a proper clear picture. Significant management judgment. In your finance statement, if there are judgmental area, for example, fair valuation, right? Fair valuation is a judgment. Or let's say another disclosures, judgment. So let's say litigation, contingent liability, judgment. So if you are a judgmental area involved, so generally those becoming a key audit matter. And the last one is significant events. Right? Out of all three circumstances, one is significant risk, significant management judgment, or significant event. So auditor will observe all three circumstances while the audit is conducted and identify one or two issues or 3-4 issues or sometime beyond that to be reported to the shareholders as key audit matters. Again I am telling, key audit matters are not audit qualification or a modification. It is just a matter that දැන් අර මෙන්න මෙහෙම දෙයක් තේරුම් ගන්නකො මේක මම තේරෙන භාෂාවෙන් කියන්නම්කො. දැන් අපිට අවිල්ලා කියනවා කවුරු හරි මොකක් හරි දෙයක් ගැන මේ දෙන මට චෙක් කරලා report එකක් දෙන්න කියලා මොනවා හරි දෙයක් ගැන. දැන් ඔය දේ චෙක් කරලා මට report එක දෙන්න පුළුවන් මොකුත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ කියලා. ඒක එක විදියක්. ඒත් එක්ක මට පුළුවන් මේක චෙක් කරලා මගේ කන්ක්ලූෂන් එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ තමයි. හැබැයි මම මෙහෙමත් කියනවා චෙක් report එක දෙනවා මේකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. ඊට පස්සේ මම කියන හැබැයි මෙන්න මෙහෙම ටිකක් තිබ්බා මම චෙක් කරා. ඒ කියන්නේ නිකම්ම මොකුත්ම කියන්නේ නැතුව බේසිස් එකක් නැතුව මේක මම චෙක් කරා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ කියලා කියන ගමන්ම මම මේ ටික චෙක් කරා මෙන්න මේ ප්‍රශ්න ටික තිබ්බා. විශේෂයෙන් මෙන්න මේ ටික ප්‍රශ්න ටික තිබ්බා. හැබැයි ඒ ටිකෙත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. තේරුණාද මම මේ කියන එක? Right. Auditor is giving a more clarity to the reader, or I am giving more clarity to the reader, rather just giving a conclusion, no problem. I am telling the significant problem and telling no problem. Which one is better? Second one is better. Right? That is what called key audit matter. You in a opinion, we have already told that the finance statements are free from material misstatement. We have already told. After telling that the finance statements are free from material misstatement, now you are coming and telling there were some issues like this, we check and no problem. That is called key audit matter. Right? But some important information, remember, this is applicable only for PLCs. Remember that. The key audit matters section is applicable only for a PLC. This is not applicable for private limited companies. That is one of the key change that you remember, right? Quickly have a look on that practical example which I have been showing you, right? අපි බලමු අර එක example එකක් csc.lk එකකින් download කරගත්ත එකක් තිබ්බනේ. අපි ඒකේ බලමු මොකද්ද මේ තියෙන්නේ කියලා. right? මේ practical example එක බලමු. Right. You see, this is the auditor's report which I have been showing you, and look at independent auditor's report heading is there, and to the shareholders of Renuka Capital PLC that is there, and then opinion paragraph is there, then basis for opinion is there, right? And then key audit matters is there. Read with me that key audit matters what it is. We'll read. Sorry. Key audit matters are those matters that in our auditor's professional judgment were of more significant, that in our professional judgment were of more significant in our audit of the finance statement of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the finance statement as a whole and in forming our audit, our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. Right? We'll come to the next page now to see what is the key audit matter given in this company. You see, if there is a key audit matters, always auditing standards say you have to explain that issue under the two headings. One is what is key audit matter, one is what is key audit matter, and how our audit address the key audit matter. What is the key audit matter, how our audit address the key audit matter. So key audit matter is explained. I am not interested in reading the issue because this is a case specific issue which we don't want to know. If you want, you can read any annual report, all each and every annual report of the PLC. This key audit matters are there. So they have disclosed something like equity method of accounting of investment in associate company, equity method of accounting only holding PLC. Then there is a issue. So this issue could be one of these: significant risk of the finance statement, significant management judgment, or significant events that we don't know. Particular auditor might have decided that. And then the second part of the table, it explains how our audit address the key audit matter. So in this audit, the auditor has addressed this key audit matter by performing these audit procedures, you see. So all these audit procedures, and auditor comes to a conclusion that there are no material misstatement in this particular key audit matter. So right. So I hope that explanation is sufficient and you are clear with that. Right. So then number fifth element of the audit report is key audit matters. Remember, that is applicable only for the PLC. Now just memorize what are the key elements of audit report. Number 1, title. Number 2, addressee. Number 3, opinion paragraph. Number 4, basis for opinion paragraph. Number 5, key audit matters. Right. You are clear with that 5 elements. I am coming to the number 6. Right. Number 6, other information. What it is? Other information paragraph. What it is? Other information. So the other information mean, just try to understand again another important part. If you can look at the board again. Other information mean what? What is that other information? Number 6, other information. So in this other information mean, I told you, when our basic diagram comes in, management, shareholder and the auditor come and check the finance statement. That is what we call auditing. I told you at the beginning of the video, when this management is representing the finance statement to the shareholder, there is a booklet called annual report. They are issuing the annual report. Right? In this annual report, basically contains 3 things. Right? One is audit report. Right? Other one is finance statement. Another one called other information. What are those other information? In this annual report which I show you, in this booklet has 3 things. I told you at the middle part of the booklet, audit report is there for 3 pages, and after that finance statements are there. But before that, at the beginning, there are so many other information. Other information mean chairman's review, director's profiles, corporate governance report, CSR report. There are many other informations are given other than the finance statement to the shareholder, other than the finance statement and the audit report. There are so much of other information which are represented by the management to the shareholder as part of the annual report. Audited finance statements are one element of this annual report. So therefore, in this particular section, what we are going to discuss, auditor has to be very clear about what is auditor's responsibility towards to this other information. Auditor's objective is to come and check what? The finance statement and give an opinion to the shareholder or a report to the shareholder on what? On finance statement. Auditor's objective is only to give and report to the shareholders on finance statement. We don't check director's profile, chairman's review, financial highlights, let's say the corporate social responsibility, corporate governance, internal control report of the board of directors. Those are not part of the job of the auditor. So therefore, we have to be very clear about this other information to the shareholder. Otherwise, he will understand that when this entire booklet is given, auditor might have checked the entire booklet. No. Auditor has checked only on what? The financial statement. So therefore, auditor add another paragraph to the other information and state that we don't have any responsibility, or we don't report, or our auditors report, we don't cover this other information section. We are positively telling that. Right? And then we are telling what is our responsibility to this other information. Our responsibility is just to read this other information. We are just reading this other information and checking whether there are material inconsistency. ඒ මොකද්ද? අපිට මේ other information අපි මේ other information check කරන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. මොකද අපේ scope එකේ ඒක නැහැ. හැබැයි අපි මේ other information ටික shareholders ලට දෙන්න කලින්, මොකද මේ other information දෙන්නේ auditors finance statement එක නිසා අපි මේක නිකන් කියවලා බලනවා. ඒ කියවලා බලනකොට if there is a material inconsistency between the other information and the audited finance statement, then we have to report in our audit report. What is that? Material inconsistency කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ දෙයක්. දැන් chairman ගේ report එකේ තියෙනවා company has made a 500 million profit. හරි. හැබැයි අපේ audited finance statement එනකොට P&L එකේ තියෙන 50 million profit. Typing mistake. You see, in the chairman's report it says the chairman is positively telling at the beginning, my company or our company has made a 500 million profit during the year ended 31st March 2020. So it's a significant achievement and he is telling so much of positive comments. But when you come to the audited finance statement, which is part of the auditor's role, you see only 50 million is there as a profit. Now it's a significant misleading given to the shareholder. At that time, auditor has a responsibility. This is called material inconsistency. Again, audited finance statement with other information with then ekama potene මේක තියෙන්නේ. මේ දෙක අතර ලොකු නොගැලපීමක් තිබෙනවා. අනේ ඒ වෙලාවකදී auditor has a responsibility. Otherwise, auditor does not have any responsibility to give an opinion on this other information. I hope that you are clear with that. So this is little bit beyond BL5. But anyway, we should know these things correctly, then only you can answer any question that are coming in your examination. Right. Have a look on this paragraph given in this presentation. Management is responsible for the other information. The other information comprised the information included in the company's annual report for the ended 31st March 2020, but does not include the finance statement and our auditor's report their own. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance or conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the finance statement, our responsibility is to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether other information is materially inconsistent with the finance statement of our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appear to be materially misstated. If based on the work we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of the other information, we are required to report that we have nothing to report in this regard in this particular scenario. Right. I hope that you are clear now. We have discussed the 6 elements of the audit report. Most critical things are done now, which there are certain things like other information we are discussing in detail in the CL1, because there is a separate auditing standard for that, but in your BL5 we don't want to go into that level. The number 7, it's coming, responsibilities for the finance statement. Number 7, responsibility for the finance statement, right? That is number 7. Look at the presentation. So basically this responsibilities for the finance statement, we are going to positively say that the preparation of finance statements and designing and implementing internal control towards that, whose responsibility, we are positively going to say that is a management or a those charge governance responsibility. If you read this, management is responsible for the preparation of finance statement that give a true and fair view in accordance with the Sri Lanka accounting standard, and for such internal control as management determine is necessary to be enable the preparation of finance statement that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. You see the beautiful language, very beautiful, very much beautiful this language in auditing. Make it a කවුරු හරි auditing subject එකට ආසයි නම්, right? This is one of my passion for so many years. When I was studying from the when I was getting ready for the examination, one of my favorite subject is auditing. This beautiful English in auditing. If you read again this one, management is responsible for the preparation of finance statement that give a true and fair view in accordance with the Sri Lanka accounting standard for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of finance statement that are free from material misstatement. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන පිළියෙල කිරීම සහ මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන වලට අදාළ අභ්‍යන්තර පාලනය නිර්මාණය කර ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමේ වගකීම කා සතුද? කළමනාකරණය සහ පාලන භාරකාරීත්වය දරන පාර්ශවයන් සතු වේ. That we have to very clearly should be mentioned in the auditor's report, then only the reader will understand properly. So that the number 7, right? The the next element, the auditor's responsibility, number 8. Basically it goes into what is our role, auditor's responsibility, right? So auditors are very cunning. Auditors very cunning. Why? You see, if you can remember now, what are the elements what we discussed now? Number 1, you should close your eyes and tell with me. Number 1, title. Number 2, addressee. Number 3, basis. Number 3, opinion paragraph. Number 4, basis for opinion. And number 5, key audit matters. Number 6, other information. Number 7, responsibility for the finance statement. And number 8, auditor's responsibility. You see why I told you the auditors are cunning. First of all, you tell the conclusion, and then you tell what are the important information to the shareholders, and now coming to the cover up the all the other things. Now this is the paragraph. It's a very long paragraph. You can see this slide, next slide, next slide. There are 3 sections. There are so much of information. We are telling what is our responsibility. What is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to check the finance statement prepared by the management and give a conclusion or the opinion on the finance statement, whether such finance statement contains material misstatement. So that is our main objective. Top of that, how that is to be conducted and what are the limitations, all other circumstances which auditor should be safeguard, and all other things that the auditor cannot do, and all other things are disclosed in or discussed in this particular paragraph. I am not going to read with you because it's a very long paragraph, and also you are not required to remember all these things, but at the outset in a summary form you have to remember what is the auditor's responsibility is to state that the finance statements are free from material misstatement. For that purpose, auditor apply the Sri Lanka auditing standards. In this applying this auditing standard, there are certain limitations, certain inherent limitations as well as the other limitations. If I read only the first paragraph for you to just to explain, our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the finance statement as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard will always detect a material misstatement when it exits. Misstatement can arise from fraud or error that are considered material if individually or on the aggregate that could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these finance statements. As part of an audit in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also, one by one is explained, identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the finance statement, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omission, misrepresentation, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the internal control. I'm not going to read that, but again I want to highlight what all these things is, what auditor does during the audit, and what are the limitations auditor encounter during the audit, and how audit is conducted in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard. What you learn from all your auditing standard discussion in your syllabus BL5, starting from Sri Lanka auditing standard number 200 to up to 620, because reporting standards are started at 700. So up to that moment, what you did was a practical audit. All that practical audit summary is given in the auditor's responsibility paragraph, right? Therefore, all these words are nothing new to you, because all these words what we discuss, what you discuss, or what you learned in your auditing discussions or auditing theory discussion in the study text, as well as the webinars or any other materials or any other the lectures that you follow. That is number 8. I'm not going to read that. And then we are coming to the last part of the audit report, number 9. Number 9 is other reporting responsibility. Number 9. Other reporting responsibilities. What it is? Other reporting responsibilities mean, let's say, this is a good example. Now, auditors are reporting only on the financial statements which are prepared by the management. But when auditor is conducting the audit of finance statement, there is an important concern that we have to see the certain regulatory requirements when we conduct the audit of finance statement. I am going to give you an example. Let's say I am going to take an example of a bank. Okay. In this bank, we are auditing a bank. The management is there, let's say HNB, and the shareholders are there, and the auditor is there. Auditor comes and check the financial statement. When the finance statements are checked, auditor's focus is mainly whether the finance statement comply with Sri Lanka accounting standards. But there is another aspect to be looked at here. These finance statements are basically, and also these finance statements are basically checked by the, or interested by the, not only shareholders, the regulators. We call regulators. The good example is the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Right. Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Central Bank of Sri Lanka is keen about the finance statement which are audited by the auditor. In such circumstances, auditor's role is not to check all the compliance regulations that are issued by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Banking Act. It is not our duty. But if any regulations related to finance statement, or if any regulation which could create a material misstatement to the finance statement, then it has to be checked by the auditor. It has to be checked. Right? In such circumstances, now we have to be very clear, auditor's role is not to check the laws, but auditor's responsibility is to check the finance statement. By doing that, there will be laws that are applicable to the finance statement that auditor should check. Sometimes some people difficult to understand this. මේක සමහර අයට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. තේරෙන භාෂාවෙන් කියන්නම්කෝ සමහර අයට. Auditor finance statement audit කරලා තමයි report එකක් දෙන්නේ. එතනදී මේ company එක government එකේ නැත්නම් central bank එකෙන් දීලා තියෙන මේ regulations නීතිත් එක්ක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම comply කියලා report එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි සමහර නීති තියෙනවා ඒ නීති මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන වලට සම්බන්ධයි. ඒ නීති කඩකිරීම හරහා මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන වලට ගැටලුවක් වෙනවා. අන්න එතනදී auditor has a responsibility to check such laws. The very good example I explained in the previous webinar, that is car. දැන් car කිව්ව ගමන් මොකද්ද මම එදා කිව්වේ? capital adequacy ratio ව්‍යවස්ථාපිත සංචිත අනුපාතය. ඒතර මේක අනිවාර්යෙන්ම චෙක් කරන්න ඕන කාරණයක් ඔඩිටර් කෙනෙක්. ඇයි? මේක ලින්ක් වෙනවා going concern වලට. Right? That means the breaching of such law could impact to the one of the disclosure in the finance statement. Indirectly it will become audit risk. Right? So that is a background, that is a separate standard is there for a 250. That is the background why what is the auditor's responsibility towards to the compliance with the laws and regulation in audit of finance statement as per the Sri Lanka auditing standard. But I told you some background information to come into this. What is this now? You look at report on other legal and regulatory requirements. There are certain circumstances, even though this is the law, even though this is the requirement that the auditor should do in terms of the regulation. ඒ කියන්නේ regulation සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔඩිටර්ගේ වගකීම තියෙන්නේ ඒ regulation එක මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන වලට සම්බන්ධයි නම් ඒ regulation එක කඩ කිරීම හරහා මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන වල සාබද්ධ ප්‍රකාශනයක් නිර්මාණය වෙනවා නම් අන්න එතනදී ඔඩිටර්ට ඒ නීතිය සමග අනුකූලද කියලා පරීක්ෂා කිරීමේ වගකීමක් විගණකවරයාට තිබෙනවා. Right? If not, auditor does not have a responsibility to check on that. That's the law. That's the auditing standard 250. But there are certain circumstances, certain regulatory background in different countries in the world. The law has told auditor to. That means regulation has told auditor to check certain things and report. I don't know whether you understand or not what I am trying to say. It's a bit difficult, but otherwise we'll leave it out this one. If you don't understand, just leave it out this one. Think like this in a simple way. Auditing is not always easy. Or don't think that this is a very easy subject always. There are certain concepts that you have to understand in a difficult way. So if you don't understand, please go back to the video again and again watch. මෙන්න මේ audit report එකේ section number 9 report on other legal and regulatory requirements කියලා කියන්නේ සමහර අවස්ථාවල නීතියක් මගින් auditor ට කියලා තියෙනවා law එකකින් තියෙනවා audit එක කරනකොට මේ audit එක කරනකොට මෙන්න මෙහෙම audit එක කරන්න කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් audit එක කරනකොට සමහර දේවල් aspect ටිකක් බලන්න කියලා තියෙනවා. Right? So very good example, the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, which you have learned from A level. In this particular section, in the particular act, there are certain provisions in relation to the auditors. If there are certain provisions in relation to the auditors, auditor has to report on that provision. If you look at if you are auditing auditor of a bank, if the bank in act there are certain specific provision in relation to the auditor has to report on to that. If there are certain provision in the Insurance Act, auditor is responsible to report on that particular section. Right? In this particular section in the auditor's report, Say report on other legal and regulatory requirement. If there is a regulatory requirement issued or passed in the Sri Lankan Parliament and gazetted as a law, that auditor should report on this, auditor should comply on this, auditor has to report that as a latter part of the auditor's report. So it depends on the country. Country to country law is changed, law is different, so accordingly that will be applicable. In terms of Sri Lankan companies, most of the Sri Lankan companies are governed by the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. According to the 163 2 section of the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, the auditor has to report whether you have received all the information towards to the audit and whether the company has maintained the proper books of accounts. That has to be reported. So that you read this one as required by section 163(2) of the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. We have obtained all the information and explanation that were required for the audit, and as far as appears from our examination, proper accounting records have been kept by the company. You see, the number 9, other reporting responsibilities. Basically, if the governing country law, if there is any specific requirement given for the auditor to check and report other than the Sri Lanka auditing standard, that part will come under here. So basic example you can note down. This example is, one of the example is Companies Act number 7 of 2007, and there is another example. Another example is if you are a bank auditor, the Banking Act requirement. If you are an insurance company auditor, Insurance Act requirement. If you are a finance company, Business Finance Act requirement. Likewise, specific industries, there are different laws, but as far as the Sri Lankan law is concerned at the moment, so the basic auditors are reporting on the Companies Act requirement. Remember, this is a additional reporting. This is not our core. Our core is what? Our core is to state that the finance statements are free from material misstatement and it is compliant with the Sri Lanka accounting standard. That is our core. What is this? This is additional reporting responsibilities toward the laws and regulation, right? Okay, so that is number 9. So now we are coming to the number 10th of the element of the audit report. That is interesting. What is that? The CA Sri Lanka membership number of the engagement partner responsible for signing this independent auditor's report is, number has to be given. That is membership number. Membership number. So when you become now all these hardworking, all this sacrification, all these sleepless night you are studying for what? To get this membership number. To become a member of such a prestige professional, for that purpose only you are doing all this sacrification and getting ready for the examination. And out of many students, out of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 20,000 students, finally end of the day, every year around 400 to 500 students are becoming chartered accountant and getting the membership number. As I explained you in the first webinar, the most prestige of this professional accountancy body, most important factor is that the practicing certificate for you to practice sign audit report as auditor. That is the core in Sri Lanka. In legally, all the accounts of the entities, business organization can be signed only by members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Sri Lanka, unless it is a private limited or a other organization. So where the registered auditors also are allowed to sign the audit report, but mostly 99.9 in the Sri Lanka, the members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka are empowered to sign the audit report. So when you are signing the audit report in 2018-19, the global requirements came in. According to the global requirement, so the actually Sri Lanka, we are disclosing only the membership number, but if you look at the UK or the other countries, you have to report the name. You have to report the name, because But in Sri Lanka, the regulation is slightly changed, so you have to report the membership number. So why this is given is to make to more responsibility to the engagement partner, as well as to give a more clarity to the reader that this is the number, the partner, the audit firm partner who is responsible for this audit of finance statement, right? That is number 10th. And then number 11th item of the audit report is the signature. So you know, basically the signature has to come for the auditor. Now I show you the previous example, the live example of Renuka Group, which I took as example. There you saw the signature. And then number 12th is the auditor's address, where you practice, maybe Colombo, Galle, Kandy, Jaffna, wherever you practice, the auditor's address has to come. And the last one is the auditor's report date. So that the last one, number 13th, the report date. So that you know, basically the report date, basically it will be the finance statement sign off date mostly. If it is 30th June 2020, the finance statements are sign off, so that will be the date of the auditor's report in practice, right? So number 11, 12, 13. So number 11 is coming as a signature, and then the number 12th it addressed, and then the date. All right. Now we are finishing the audit report format discussion. If you see all these 13 sections, I will show you on practical audit report as well. If you see here, which we write, right, you see, so this is the report which have been, you can download any of the report in the csc.lk, but this is the live example. In this live example, I am going to tell you the 13th section. I am going to show you in the live example. You see the number 1 title, independent auditor's report is coming here, and number 2 to address C to the shareholders of Renuka Capital PLC, and number 3 you can see opinion. I hope that you can see, right, opinion. And then number 4 basis for opinion paragraph, which we discussed. Then number 5 here, key audit matters. Number 5, key audit matters. So then the audit firm details are given here. That is a letterhead. And the key audit matters examples, sorry, that particular scenario is given. And number 6, you see other information paragraph. And number 7, responsibilities of management and those charged with governance, number 7. And number 8, auditor's responsibilities for the audit of finance statement, which we discussed. Number 8, that is the longest paragraph, right, you see. And number 9, you see, report on other legal and regulatory requirements, number 9. And number 10, you can see the membership number, CS Sri Lanka membership number of the engagement partner responsible for finding this engagement number is given, that is 10. Number 11, you can see the signature, audit firm signature is given. And number 12, you can see where the practitioner addressed, Colombo. Number 13, the date is given, right. So now that is the audit report, and then you are coming to the next finance statement. Now look at here, please. So now you should be able to tell these 13 sub elements without looking at this. පුළුවන්ද කියන්න? මතකයෙන් කියන්න පුළුවන්ද බලන්න? දැන් අපි පොඩක් you close the eye. Please close the eye in the video. Don't open the eyes, right? Can you tell with me what are the 13 elements in the auditor's report? What are the 13 elements? Number 1 title. Number 2, addressee. Number 3, opinion paragraph. Number 4, basis for opinion. Number 5, key audit matters. Number 6, other information. Number 7, responsibility for the finance statement. Number 8, auditor's responsibility. Number 9, Other reporting requirements. Number 10, membership number. Number 11, signature. Number 12, address. Number 13, date. Don't open these. Again 13 items. Again මේ වගේ 10 පාරක් කියන්න. හරි 10 වෙනි පාර කියනකොට මේක මතක තියන්න. Right. What is number 1? Title. Number 2, addressee. Number 3, opinion paragraph. Number 4, basis for opinion. Number 5, key audit matters. Number 6, other information. Number 7, responsibilities for the finance statement. Number 8, auditors responsibilities. Number 9, other reporting responsibilities. Number 10, membership number. Number 11, signature. Number 12, address. Number 13, date. Right, open these. Right. So you see now all these 13 areas you should be able to nicely tell now for anybody this is the audit report. These are the 13 section and these are the real meaning of these 13 section. That's it. Right. So now I just want to tell you few other matters from here. Okay. So this audit report, in this audit report format, this is I told you for a PLC. This is for a public companies. But when it comes to private limited, now then after knowing this audit report, if you see a private company audit report, you will blame me. Sir, කිව්වනේ section 13ක් තියෙනවා කියලා ඒක මේ මම බලන audit report එකේ නෑනේ කියලා හිතෙන්න පුළුවන්. If you are working in audit firm or if you are in a working audit firm, if you are auditing a private company auditors, you may think what you sir කියපුවා මේකේ නෑනේ. එම නෑ තමයි. නැති වෙන්න හේතුවක් තියෙනවා. The reason being these items, you see, this key audit matters is only for a PLC and this other information mainly only for a PLC because so most of the other companies, private limited companies, they won't present the other information. They will just report the audit report and the finance statement. So therefore, this may or may not come. It depends. If the other informations are there, only auditor's responsibility will come. Mostly in the private companies, this won't come. This may or may not, right? So therefore, you can't say definitely key audit matters are not there. Then this membership number, you see, this is also only for PLC, right? Now you see, if you look at a private limited company audit report, you will have a title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinions are not going to be changed. Responsibility for the finance statement, auditor's responsibility, other reporting responsibility, signature, address and the date are not going to be changed. But key audit matters and the membership number definitely out. Definitely out. That won't come for a PLC, for a private limited company. But other information may or may not come depending on the whether other informations are included in the annual report or not. But generally other informations are not coming in the private limited liability companies, right? So I hope that you are clear with that. So those are the things which I want to explain under the part A of the video. So part A of the video of the webinar today, what we discussed, what is auditor's report, how that will be issued by the auditor in a practical circumstances. I explain you using this annual report and the live example I downloaded from the Colombo Stock Exchange. Please, if you are interested student, if you are a student who is passionate about this subject or in becoming a chartered accountant or a practicing chartered accountant, please always go to the Colombo Stock Exchange and download annual report and save that annual report in your computer, or if you are watching through the mobile phone, keep on this mobile phone, and whenever this theory comes, even a financial reporting or even the auditing or even any other matters, please open those annual report, one good annual report, read. When you have a time, read those annual report, because your knowledge will be substantially will go up, because you know the practical circumstances what's happening, right? So accordingly, so I gave you the practical audit report also I show you, and I show you the specimen audit report. There I explain you the all 13 sub elements of the auditor's report. And also I told you there are 3 sections which are not applicable for private limited. That's all about the audit report. So now in the next video or next session we will discuss the modification to the audit report, how the general audit report is going to be changed if the material misstatements are identified in the finance statement.